Hey guys, what is up? This is Swift here for Chinese Tech. Today I'll be doing the full review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note. Basically, the Redmi Note is the bigger brother, the bigger version of the Redmi or Hongmi phone by Xiaomi. And it's basically the Redmi or Hongmi series of phones by Xiaomi is one of their more budget ones. Even though most of their phones are actually quite fall into the budget price category. But of course, these are the cheaper ones. But they do all pack a punch. So the bigger brother, the one I have here right now, the Redmi Note, is basically bigger size, and it has a more powerful, it packs more powerful hardware with it as well. So I'll just go through quickly some of the specifications. If you like to read it in detail, you can look at the full written review. There'll be a table for all the details, the specifications and whatnot of this particular phone over there, so you can read it and you don't have to if you cannot catch what I say, you can just refer to that table. So anyway, this is the Redmi Note. In terms of dimensions, it's 154 by 78 by 9.5 mm. So it is a rather big phone. The display here is a 5.5 inch 720p display. So this is not full HD, this is 720p. Now, in terms of hardware, we have a MTK6592 octa-core processor by MediaTek. So that's an octa-core processor. And the graphics card, or the graphics processing unit that powers this phone, is the Mali 450 MP4. There is a expansion for a micro SD card slot up to 32 gigs at the back. It supports two SIM cards, so it has dual SIM standby. One of them allows for 3G and the other is only for 2G, so you have to choose if you will not be able to use both SIM cards for data. Only one of them supports data. So as you can see already, the camera here, the front facing one is a 5 megapixel camera. At the back is a 13 megapixel camera with LED flash. It's capable of up to 1080p at 30 frames per second video recording. Now the OS that it runs is of course the custom Android OS by themselves. It's the MIUI. This one runs on the 4.2.2 one, and for the review of that, you can refer to my previous one. I should put a link here. The very first time I reviewed the phone, I did do a in-depth review of the OS itself, so nothing much has really changed from then. So you can just refer to that if you like to know some of my thoughts of the MIUI. Again, the link will be here. You can click it or something. So it supports GPS. It's a GPS with GLONASS, and it has wireless LAN. And the battery that powers this is a 3100 milliampere large capacity battery. So it has a very good battery life. I'll just say it up front right now. And it supports Bluetooth as well as USB. You can see here this supports OTG. So you can use your card readers and whatnot. Other things is that it has a FM radio built in as well. Alright, so let's just go straight into what I think about the physical dimensions, the design of the phone. It's very standard. There's nothing much I can say really. It's a very standard phone. It feels, if you've watched my unboxing before, I did say that it feels quite a lot like a very generic Chinese phones there. This is by no means bad. It's just very normal. It's a very common feeling, but it is well built. I must say it's well built. It feels like it can last, though it's a little bit more budget with all the plastic and stuff. It is definitely a device that is built with high quality control. No doubt about that. So in terms of design, again, I don't like the volume. I've always said this time and again, power button and volume rocker together. No special indentation or anything to differentiate both. So you might need some time to get used to it. I've really gotten used, and therefore there are definitely much less times where I accidentally press the wrong one. Now, the first time I saw this micro USB port, I really got confused because I didn't know it was like too square to be micro USB, right? The micro USB cable looks slightly less squarish, as you can see here, right? So when I just saw this, I was quite confused. I thought they were using a proprietary connector, but this is in fact micro USB. That's fine. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh yeah, the speakers, one of the worst placement ever, at the back, at the bottom. It's okay, I guess. You can hear it, but in loud places, it's terrible. Don't expect much of it. I just don't understand why. I'm going to say time and again, this is like probably the number of time I reviewed phones. This is the number of times I've said this. Why don't they just have the speakers at the front? Design, space constraints, I'm not sure. But yeah, in terms of design, etc., and build quality, it's very standard, so there's nothing much to get overly excited about. So that's all about that. Now, in terms of display, I did say it's a 720p display, but what I did notice is that the phone does look slightly better than standard 720p displays. Now, I didn't notice, I'm not sure if they use the same great quality of screen as per with the Redmi itself, because the Redmi it uses a 720p display as well, but of course it's smaller. But the thing is that I've used another 5.5 inch phone, which is the Star N9599. I have a review of that as well, and if I remember correctly, the screen on this, the Redmi Note, is definitely much more vibrant than when you compare it to the Star N9599, and that is using a 720p display phone as well. So I must give some props to it. The display is good. Of course, it's of lower resolution, but nevertheless, this is one of the higher quality ones I've seen, so that's a plus point. And another thing is that the brightness, I've tried it under the sun. It goes bright enough for you to see, and it can go pretty dark as well, pretty dim rather, in a dark room, so it's easy on your eyes. So that is about the display. It's pretty good. So let's just jump into the crux of the phone, is the phone performance. Now, in terms of core phone functionalities like phone call, signal strength, Wi-Fi, everything, this phone does well. You know, all the times I've tried calling, there wasn't any drop calls, and the times when I need to message or receive message, the phone picks up everything without any delay and whatsoever. Now, of course, your mileage may vary depending on where you stay and your country you're living in. Your connection might have different results, but overall, comparing with all the other phones I've used so far, it definitely is okay, or good rather. There's nothing to complain about. Now, something that most people are very worried about is the GPS. Now, MediaTek powered phones are known to have terrible GPS chips with it, and this is no exception. It isn't as terrible as one might expect. Out of the box, the locking position locks pretty fast, but the main problem I have with it is that after locking, even if you start moving around or something like that, it tracks your movement, but it's not very accurate, and that isn't something that should happen, especially when I used it just for a walk. I basically walked from my house to a nearby store, and the GPS itself didn't track accurate enough. Let's just put it that way. It locked fast, but it didn't track very well. Now, it showed my position, etc., but there are times where it jumped. If you exit from the GPS application, then you go back in again, you'll realize that your position will just be very, very awkward and very weird. So the GPS thing isn't that good. So you can rely on it in terms of telling where you are, and then you get a rough idea. But if you're driving in a very fast-moving vehicle like car or something like that, anything other than walking, this might not be the device that you want to use. to rely on giving you directions. So yeah, that's just a very sad thing that isn't exactly fixed. It's better, let's just put it that way. It's better than other MediaTek powered phones, especially the older generation ones. But in terms of sheer quality, is obviously not there at all. Now let's move on to the battery life. I mentioned earlier that the battery life is pretty damn good. Yes, the 3100 milliampere hour battery packs a punch, and this phone can last heavy users for probably a day without worrying for charger or extra batteries. I managed to put out about 5 hours of usage, screen time usage, and still have about 35 hours of standby with occasional WhatsApp and messaging and phone calls whatsoever. So that is really, really good. Even if the good thing about this is that even if you do not have a portable charger, you can always buy an extra battery and then you can replace it as and when you like. So that's another good thing about the phone. Now in terms of speaker performance, yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of placement. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. So anyway, I can just show you. It's very quick. People worry about the phone because some people complain that, for example, the Redmi itself suffered from lag after some time of usage. I've used this phone for over a week, slightly over a week, and I've downloaded. You can see some stuff over here that I use, and everything is very smooth. I haven't rebooted the phone at all or do a cold startup or whatever since I've tested it, and everything is very smooth, so no problems at all. The 2 gig RAM probably helps a bit. Yeah, so now let's go to gaming performance. Now sadly, I don't know why, but the phone doesn't feel to be performing well in games, especially in this game. I'm not sure if just this in particular, but Real Racing is of course one of the more graphically intensive games for Android. If you have any other suggestions or what kind of games I should use to test and show, because I've been using this game for my past few reviews, I thought I shouldn't just change it. You can feel free to suggest that to me. Now I'll just show you. The game itself feels a little bit sluggish. You will see that. Let's just turn on the sound. You will see that it's slightly, let's just say, the frame rate isn't the highest. You will see like it's kind of sluggish. And I'm not sure why. Of course, the CPU is a octa-core processor, but I've forgotten that okay. As you can see the screen. There's like this stuttering. Isn't exactly the smoothest experience, and I'm not sure why. It's playable. It's definitely playable, but yeah, it doesn't feel to be smooth enough, and that's really weird. Yeah, that's a quick one. As you can see, just the graphics isn't that fast, and I'm not sure why. Apparently the Mali processor, graphic processor, is pretty good really, but it just doesn't perform well. It's playable, let's just say it again. It's playable, but it's not the best that you can have. Alright, so that's for gaming performance. So it's kind of sad. It seems to have really good hardware, but I'm not sure if it's not supported properly or software wise there's some problems. Maybe some people can let me know, but of course this will handle your less graphically intensive games perfectly well. So now we go on to the camera. I'm not too big fan of the camera on this phone. You can see the sample photos as well as the video that I've recorded in the full written review. I have put up a link for you to download the full unedited photos, and you can see for yourself. And I would say that the camera is okay, barely okay, average. There's nothing to be too happy about. Don't expect too high quality photos from this camera. Now I must say also that the HDR function of the phone is kind of weird as well. The output that I have from the HDR that I've taken, you'll see in my garden, it was really weird. It's like overexposed, and that was a similar problem in my other Xiaomi phones as well, especially the Mi3 and the Redmi itself. They all had this weird problem. For example, I believe the Mi3, the Mi San was the colors were really weird. That's all I can say. But this time around, the video works better, definitely much better than the I think it's the Redmi, which had a video recording problem. I think the quality was really bad, but of course this is much better now. So camera is more or less meh to me. It's okay, but nothing too fancy or anything to go crazy about. So we are back to the last final section, and that's the official and community support. Again, Xiaomi takes care of their users very well. You're gonna get constant updates. You're gonna get a very firm software, and in terms of third-party accessories, peripherals, you're gonna be covered. There are covers for this, screen protectors, so on and so forth, and so you're pretty much covered in that aspect. In terms of community support, if you're looking for third-party ROMs to flash, you're basically out of luck. If you don't like the Xiaomi launcher, you can just the MIUI launcher rather, you can basically go for a third-party launcher instead of flashing a whole new custom ROM. So yeah, that's about that. So don't expect custom stuff for this. You have to stick with the MIUI, and it's not bad. It's really good. It's one of the better few custom OS, Android OSs out there anyways. So time for the conclusion. Now, I have said this for the past 2 times already. I've reviewed the Mi San or Mi 3 as well as the Redmi. Same conclusion. Very value for money phone. The amount you pay for is just insane. Octa-core phones out there probably cost about 200 to 250 USD with similar specs. If I convert my Singapore dollars into this, it's about 160, 150. So it's about $50 cheaper than the cheapest octa-core phone that you can get with money. So in terms of value, Xiaomi products hands down are just insane. So the main problem still applies here, and that is the availability of such products. And in the market, you have resellers that are selling it at a premium, and when the phones are sold at a premium, sometimes there are other competitors or other competing phones that might match it. If you are able to get it from the official Xiaomi store, by all means go ahead. This is a phone I definitely recommend you getting. But of course, if you are unfortunate like me, who have wait very long and you cannot wait, you want to go for a third-party premium reseller, then you might want to consider looking at other phones first, and see whether the resellers are selling at a premium that's not too much. There's not too much increment from the official retail price. So that's all I have to say. Great phone, great value for money. Main problem, nothing about the phone, but more on getting the phone rather. There isn't much stocks available out there. So yeah, this is the Xiaomi Redmi Note, the bigger brother. And if you have any questions, do leave it in the comment sections, or you can private message me. If you missed out anything or you want a more detailed review, do read the full written review. Otherwise, do like this video if you find it informative. Do subscribe to our channel Chinese Tech for more of such videos, and I'll see you guys again soon.